Okay, everybody, so in this episode, we are going to talk about how the new City of Vancouver regulations affect multiplexes. Hey everyone, welcome to Dream Homes with Kathy. I'm Kathy Yuen, an architectural technologist, custom home designer, and founder of Phase 1 Design.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Petrie. I'm in business development for Phase 1 Design. I'm a building designer who also is deeply involved in government relations in Vancouver, the Lower Mainland, and BC as a whole.
Our team at Phase 1 and I have helped over 700 homeowners design their dream homes. This channel is dedicated to sharing our knowledge with you, and we are super excited about this mini-series that we are dedicating towards the new regulations that are coming out for Vancouver bylaws. So first off, let's talk about what exactly is the definition of a multiplex. By City of Vancouver definition, a multiplex is defined as a building that has 3 units or higher. Now what we'll look at next is just some examples of what you can build on. We're going to use standard lot sizes. So we're going to actually take 3 different categories of lot sizes just to simplify this explanation. So the first one we'll look at is a lot size that is 33 foot wide and up to and including a 44-foot lot. And that's the width, and the depth would be your standard 122.
Yeah. So on that front, City of Vancouver has said 3 to 4 units on a 33 or wider up to 44-foot lot. You can have, for example, 3 units in your main building, and then 1 unit in a second, what they call an infill house at the back. So it's a small house. It's like a big laneway house, which we'll get into separately. Or the other option is to put 4 in one main building and maybe make it a little longer. And you can do a whole pile of different topographies. You could have 2 units in the basement, 2 units up top. You could put 2 in the back, 2 in the front.
Lots of different ways.
Yeah, so many different ways you could actually make that come together. Or, like I said, do 3 and the 1 in the back.
One thing I want to ask as well, the basements. So the basements are,
No, you're absolutely correct. So one of the things they're going to change, and this is applying to all types of properties, is that basements are now, if they have living space in them, are going to be only allowed to be 4 feet deep. So if that's 4 feet into the ground to the top of the floor of the basement. And part of that is for livability, part of that is for stormwater because of how much pumping of stormwater happens if you have deeper basements. Fire exiting, there's so many different reasons that that's happening.
Yeah, I just want to bring that up because that does affect how you would actually design these types of units. And this would be a blanket statement across all the multiplexes we're talking about today.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So the next category that we're going to look at is any lot size that is 44 foot wide up to 50 foot wide.
Yeah. And
just to again qualify, the depth of this lot would be your standard 122 in Vancouver.
Yeah. So in that case, what they're planning on is 4 to 5 units. So basically, they do not want to see 3 units or less if you're going for the multiplex rules. They want to see 4 to 5 units. Once again, they would want either 4 units in the main building and 1 unit in the rear. Or you could put 3 in the main building, 2 in a rear infill house, or under the right scenario, you might even be able to put 5 in one building. However, that creates a whole pile of building code challenges and everything else.
With stacked units.
And stacked units, your fire exiting, fire requirements, and the amount of professionals that are required for 5 units in a building. So just be aware of that.
Usually doesn't make sense to do that, but it is still a possibility.
Yeah, well, it basically increases your building code requirements to be that of a hotel.
Yes.
And that is a very expensive proposition. So most people are going to stick to either 3 or 4 in the main building and 1 or 2 in the back.
All right, last but not least, we're going to look at the last scenario, which would be any lot size that is 50 feet wide or wider with a 122 foot depth. Let's look at the density there.
So on those lots, you can have 5 or 6 saleable units, and I'm going to put in that caveat because I'll explain rental in one moment. And generally what the city is looking for there is either 3 or 4 in the main front building and then 1 or 2 in an infill house in the back. So you could have a duplex side-by-side infill house in the back, and like I said, 3 or 4. Once again, the caveat is you can technically do 6 in one building, but it increases your building code requirements and all the consultants and everything, and a massive increase in costs. So they are expecting that most people are going to be doing 3 or 4 in the front and then 1 or 2 in the back.
That's right.
Now, as I was mentioning, that's saleable units. There is a caveat that if you do dedicated rental units and you sign a covenant with the city saying in perpetuity, and I believe it's for 50+ years, but don't quote me on that, we'll take a look at the final rules. But the point being that if you do that, they will actually allow you to have 8 rental units. Instead, one of them can be kept for the owner to live in. So technically the owner owns the building. They get to live in that one nice large unit if they want, or penthouse unit, or whatever you want to do. And then the other 7 units but they have to be remaining as dedicated rental units.
So one small thing I just wanted to add that I think will determine, you brought it up a few times, Nick, but will determine how you actually take your units and allocate them on your lot is, Nick, you alluded to, sometimes building code requirements are just excessive once you get to a certain threshold. So just want to talk about that a bit. So under the building code, it's called the Part 9 building. So under a Part 9 building, that's defined as a residential building. So anytime you have 4 units, up to and including 4 units, you are a Part 9 building, which is essentially a residential building, which would be the same as, more or less, as building, let's just say, a single family home. Now, the minute you actually go past 4 units, so let's say you build 5 units, the requirements automatically change, and that's where there's an incremental increase in terms of what you require in terms of fire rating and
seismic and you name it.
Exactly. There's a long list.
Accessibility requirements, everything. There's the 5 main life safety categories. Every single one of those gets upgraded.
Absolutely. So to Nick's point, it does increase the complexity and therefore the cost of the building. So just a side consideration when you're looking at how to take your unit density and put it on your property. There are so many different ways to take this and slice and dice it for your particular lot. So for those of you out there who are wondering, what can you actually do with your specific lot? Because a lot of the answer to that question is very lot specific to an address. So for any viewers out there, we're happy to take a look at your specific lot. I'll link our contact information down below. And feel free to reach out. And
please feel free to book a consultation with us, and we'll sit down and go through everything with you.
So one of the changes that I personally am so excited about is the FSR as it relates to multiplexes. So we are going from, there is an opportunity to go from 70% FSR to 100% FSR on multiplexes. Now, as always, there's a catch. There's actually three different methods to actually get there in order to qualify for this additional FSR, and we're going to dive into these. So take it away, Nick.
Okay. So the first one, and it's the bigger point that everybody is fairly aware of, is that there is a dollar value that you can pay the city depending on your lot size, your lot location, that's and the lot width. So width, size, and location, and the dollar value ranges from $3 to $140 per extra square foot that you want to capture. Now, most properties, fortunately, are going to fall into that $3 range. As long as your property is basically less than 5,000 square feet, you're going to fall into the $3 per square foot. Now, on that, so 30%, let's say you have the standard lot size, which I'm going to round down for easy numbers to 4,000 square feet instead of the actual 4,026. Which we all know. But anyways, 4,000 square feet, 30% of that, so that's 1,200 extra square feet that you could technically get at $3 extra per square foot. So it's only $3,600 that you're going to have to pay the city for that.
That is money well spent.
Yes, that is money incredibly well spent. Now, when you get into larger properties, so if you have a 5,000 or more, like say 5,000 to 6,000 is the next category. And depending on which neighborhood you're in, it's going to be on average around $65 a square foot. So I'm just going to use this as a quick example here, but let's say 5,000 square feet times 30%, that's 1,500 square feet. Now times $65, and I think we're over $100,000 at that point. It's going to be quite a bit more expensive.
But still money well spent.
Oh, still money well, yeah, for an extra
1,500 square feet.
1,500 square feet, that's huge.
Incredible.
That is, what is that? 10 extra bedroom, well, 10 junior bedrooms, let's say, plus.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
So that's amazing. And then the upper end of that is your 6,000 square feet or more, and depending on the neighborhood, once again, it tops out at $140 a square foot.
Right.
And that gets a lot
Again,
more.
still money well spent. So
yeah.
So that's the first way. Basically, you pay for extra square footage, and then you get extra square footage.
Yes. So the second way, which I suspect that most people won't be using, but it will come up every once in a while, is that you may dedicate one unit to be sold at 50% of market value to a family that meets the income requirements. So it can't be to a friend who you just want to sell it to them at 50% and get away with it and give them a really great deal, but it has to be to somebody who actually
meets the income threshold.
Yeah, meets the income threshold for the province, right? And it's set. And then the third way, which is if you go the dedicated rental that we were mentioning earlier, and where you get those 8 units, they will let you go right up to the full 100% with no extra cost, but once again, dedicated rental, and you've signed a covenant with the city on that topic. So
that covenant is just registered against your title.
Yes,
as a rental.
Exactly. It stays with that property so long as that building exists on that property. It has to be dedicated rental.
Into perpetuity.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so last but not least, we're just going to hit a few key points, more technical as it relates to the multiplexes.
Yep.
We're gonna now talk about PMTs, pad-mounted transformers, stormwater detentions, and also bicycle storage.
Yep. Now, pad-mounted transformers currently apply to anything with 3 units or more, is how they're looking at it. So this could affect single family or duplexes in the right scenarios as well. But here, because all multiplexes are 3 or more units, you're going to end up with a pad-mounted transformer. And this is something that you've seen before. I'm sure that you've seen it before. They're metal boxes. They normally sit out on the outside of the property.
They're not very attractive.
No, they're not very attractive. Although
but
people,
required if you want power.
Yeah, the city does have a tendency to wrap them with pretty artistic things and so forth. And they have a 3-foot path all the way around them. And it's a giant concrete pad. That's why they call it pad-mounted transformer. And it's sitting there, and it's pumping power at 400 amps or more service into your property, because they're looking at 3 units or more. They're going to be drawing a lot of power. They're going to need more than 400 amps. And this is the most stable way for the city to do it. Now, the city is asking that these be put at the back of the property, right up against the lane, so that you can't park a car in front of it, you can't put anything in front of it, because if they ever have to change it out, they're going to have to come in with a crane and lift it and pop it out.
And this is in place of, like, a lot of people now see they are actually pole mounted in the lanes. So
and they're going to be phasing out electrical poles. So all electrical poles will be phased out. So hence these pad mounted, and they're going to run trenches with electrical cables and so forth. Now, this is an expense that the homeowner has to take on. Now, it does get split across multiple units. So if you are selling those 3 to 6 or however many units,
it's amortized.
Yeah, it's amortized, and you're looking $70,000 to $100,000 then split up between the units. So if it is 4 units and it's $100,000, it's only $25,000 a unit.
Right.
Now, next part of that though is the stormwater detention tanks. Now, this is because they're allowing us to cover more of the lots than we used to. They are actually going to require that we put a stormwater detention tank, because the more of your lot that you're covering, the less ground there is to absorb water, right? And because of that, all of your gutters and everything have to come down and feed to a stormwater detention tank that then has little feeders that go out and spread out that moisture back into the soil gradually, and if it overflows, will go into the city system. But first, it's trying to redistribute that water evenly so that you don't flood your neighbors, right? Which is the biggest thing that has happened, and they've seen it happen. So that's the reason for them. And then the last thing, this is specific to multiplexes, is that the city will be requiring storage for 3 bicycles per unit that you have on the property. So if you've done 4 units, you got 12 bicycles, and there's specific minimum sizes. Now, they will allow in certain, for ground-oriented units, if you have a ground entries, you could put the bicycle storage under the stairs at the front or whatever, so it can be right by the units. However, if you've got upper units or whatever, there has to be a bicycle storage shed, and they prefer it to be at the back of the property once again. direct access, easy access for everybody. So, and those are the big things. Now, the hiccup, the interesting part about this, and I have to mention it from a caveat perspective, is that your parking, this is coming out of your parking space. Now, if you have a 33-foot lot.
Exactly, you only have 33 feet to work with.
Yeah, so that pad-mounted transformer takes out one of your parking stalls, and the city is talking about whether or not the bicycle storage should take out one of the other parking stalls or not, or if we can build it into the parking structure so that it's maybe behind each parking stall and we get at least 2 parking stalls on those units, right? Now, if you have a 44-foot lot, you have a little bit more room. You can get those 2 or 3 parking stalls very easily. You can get the pad-mounted transformer. You should have a little bit of room left over for the bicycle storage, right? But it's just on those 33-foot lots, it's a little bit more of a caveat.
It's like a little bit of Tetris.
Yes, very much. The design of this, it takes a lot of skill to figure out how you're going to make all that work. And especially the more units you have, the bigger the transformer is. So it takes up a couple of extra feet.
Absolutely, yeah, because there's minimum requirements for everything in terms of size, setbacks, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, so there you have it. That is our overview, deep dive overview, I should say, of multiplexes. As a friendly reminder, for those of you out there considering a multiplex development, feel free to reach out to our team. We're happy to do a consultation with regards to your potential project and what these new regulations could mean for your project. I'm Kathy Yuen.
I'm Nicholas Petrie.
And on behalf of the Phase 1 design team, thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video. If you like this video, it'd mean the world to us if you gave us a like. If you have any questions, feel free to drop down in the comments below. We're happy to welcome any comments and questions. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos.